Hey guys, my name is Amanda. Welcome to my channel. I'm so happy to have you here today. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you 15 plus rope and twine DIYs that I really hope you enjoy. I went through all of my videos to find the very best rope and twine DIYs for you. If you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing and also giving me a big thumbs up. It really helps me out here on YouTube. Let's jump right into it. So the first thing I'm going to share with you is this gorgeous wreath. I actually used cardboard to create it. I was so excited. I took a box that I had and I cut 2 rings. I did not show myself doing this because when I cut something, there's always a chance I'm going to lose a finger and I don't want that on camera. But basically just use any 2 round plates or bowls to get these shapes that you can just trace out and create a ring. I did this twice, and I also have some Dollar Tree rope. I am going to glue my rings together, and I actually use plastic Tupperware bowls because my plates have ridges on them, but I'm using hot glue to glue these together, and I'm just doing this to make them thicker, and that way this wreath ring that I created will support the rope. So I'm taking this Dollar Tree rope again, and I am just going to glue it around this wreath form. Now I'm going to cut it off when I come to the other end of the rope. So I'm going to have a seam. I'm just going to do this with each piece, and then I can just put my bow over top of this seam. I just thought this would be neater than just continuously winding it around, but you can do this however you like. Here you see I cut it off and then start a new piece. I also put a piece around the outside so this looks nice from the side view, and then I am going to decorate. So I'm going to take some florals I actually purchased on picks from Dollar Tree. They are absolutely gorgeous. I love the greenery they have on them, but if you can't find these particular florals, no worries. Dollar Tree has a ton of gorgeous florals. I like to cut my picks apart so I can place my pieces exactly how I want them. But if you wanted to just glue the pick on, you could totally do that as well. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to create a bow. I purchased this ribbon at Walmart on clearance, but Dollar Tree has tons of ribbons as well. You can just loop this over as I am showing here 2 to 3 times to create your bow, just depending on the look you're going for. I'm doing one that's a little bit out of my usual bow, but I'm just going to tie this in the middle, and then I'm actually going to do this again, and I'm going to place them in opposite directions. I'm telling you, this creates a gorgeous bow. So here I'm going to glue this prepared bow on with generous amounts of hot glue, and then as promised, I'm going to create another one, and I'm going to turn it in the opposite direction and just glue it down to the middle of that first bow. This makes a really cute fluffy round bow. You just want to stick your fingers in the middle and fluff it out. Of course, if you have wired ribbon, which is the only type of ribbon I really prefer to do bows with. But here's what this looks like. So quick, so easy, so inexpensive, since your wreath form will be practically free. Here's what this looks like. Customize it to your favorite florals and your favorite ribbon choice. You can take an old project or a project you want to upcycle or upgrade and do so using rope. So I recently made these decorative standing bowls with Dollar Tree items, and I've just decided to change them around. So you can find these candlesticks for $1.25 at Dollar Tree, and this 2-pack of plastic bowls for $1.25, making each stand about $2. Just paint them the color of your choice if you want to do it without rope, and glue them together. But for me, I've decided to upgrade them with rope, so I have some of the skinnier cream rope from Dollar Tree and some regular rope from Dollar Tree. I'm going to begin by choosing what rope I want to wrap around the base of one of my candle stands. I'm going to glue it down and continue wrapping all the way until I get to the top. And honestly, I think it looks super cute with a colored bowl and rope on the base too if you wanted to stop just here. But for me, I am going to use the darker rope on the bowl, and I love the contrast. Of course, for my other stand, I'm going to do it the exact opposite way so I have a cute set. This is an easy and inexpensive way to upgrade some candle stands you may already have, or to create some. So here I am just gluing the rope down again and going all the way around the base and continuing until I reach the top of my bowl. I just added dabs of glue every so often to make sure this was adhering nicely, and I am using my regular temp glue gun, which is a high temp glue gun, and it did not seem to melt the plastic. This plastic is not super thin, so it worked out fine. Now actually for this one, when I get a couple inches from the top, I did decide to switch back to that lighter colored rope just for some contrast, but you absolutely do not have to do this. This is just what I thought looked nice. I like the different colors, but when you get to the top, you just trim off the excess and glue that top down. Such an easy and fun upgrade. Here's what this looks like. The styling options are endless. You could put a greenery in here, a faux plant, you could put florals, you could put decorative balls like I have. Really, the sky is the limit, but I just think that this is so cute and so economical. Okay, here is an idea. This one is an upcycle as well. I also recently made this lemon tray and I thought it was so cute, but wanted to change it up a little bit. So here is what it looks like originally, and I'll show you real quick how I made it to show you how I made it over. So I began with a wood round, which you can find at Dollar Tree or Hobby Lobby, a pizza pan, and some fabric. I also had these 3 wooden cubes that I purchased in a pack at Dollar Tree for $1.25. I covered my wood round in the fabric with Mod Podge and then glued that round down to my pizza pan. I then glued the 3 wooden cubes to the bottom of my pizza pan as legs. I also painted the edge of my pan with Waverly Maze chalk paint. Now for the makeover, I removed the fabric. Here's what I have, and I'm going to start with some of this Bonnie cord that I purchased from Hobby Lobby. It's kind of a cross between a rope. I'm not really exactly sure how to explain it, but I absolutely love crafting with it, and you can get a large amount for $4.99, and that is regular price, so I'm sure if you got a sale price it'd be even cheaper. I am going to make a small circle, put it in the middle of this tray, and began wrapping around. You can be more precise about what the middle of your tray is if you want to. I just kind of eyeballed it and this worked for me. I absolutely love working with this cord. It is a lot softer than rope and it's stretchy, and I just think it looks so nice, not as bulky. So I just went around and around using tiny dabs of hot glue. I definitely recommend using finger protectors. And once I got that all covered up, I am then going to cover the blue part of my tray with a darker color of this cord. I'm just going to glue it down and again wrap it all the way around until I come to the edge of my pan, which I decided to do in the lighter color. Again, I really like that contrast. I just think it is so pretty. I really feel like a project like this does not have to be absolutely perfect, and it's so fun to make. I find it really relaxing, but it is so pretty and styled with whatever decor you like on top of it. I just think it adds a really nice statement piece. I did paint those little legs with some Waverly Plaster chalk paint, and here's what my recycled tray looks like. I just think it is so pretty. It was very easy to do. It did not cost me hardly anything at all, and Hobby Lobby does have different colors of that Bonnie cord if you're interested in. Okay, so jumping into our next project, this one is inspired by Jenny over at Lovely Moments Creating. Here is her idea. It is absolutely gorgeous, and mine is similar. I just love how she made this. So here is mine. The difference is that she had another wood piece on the bottom of hers, allowing it to become a riser, and mine does not have that wood piece. But either way is an amazing idea. Let's get started. So we're going to begin with 2 packages of these smaller wooden rings. There is 6 to a pack, and 1 larger wooden ring that comes 5 to a pack. And then for this big bamboo circle, they actually come 2 to a pack, a larger one and a smaller one. I had used the smaller one, unfortunately, so I am just using the large one. So in Jenny's creation, when her creation was complete, she glued the smaller bamboo circle on the bottom to give it a riser effect. So I didn't have mine, so mine doesn't have that effect, but it is still gorgeous as a wall hanging, or even you could still set something on it. So what I did is glue these 12 small circles inside of this large ring. They fit perfectly, and then I take the one larger one and place it in the middle. I'm going to take strips of macrame cord from Dollar Tree that are about 6 inches long, and I'm just going to start with two that are directly across from each other so that I can make sure that I get this as centered as possible. I have my finger protectors today, so I'm just going to be gluing down both ends that are stretched from the longer ring over to the smaller one on each side and cutting off the excess. Now we're doing this upside down so that the gluey spots are going to be hidden when we flip this over. So here we are pulling this straight across to make this again as straight and even as possible, gluing it down nice and tight. Now once you get these two done, your ring will be held in place well enough that you can go ahead and attach all the other rings in the same way. So again, you will need about 6-inch lengths of this macrame cord, or you could use twine from Dollar Tree, pattern twine from Dollar Tree. I think that even a yarn would work and look absolutely amazing. It just kind of depends on the look that you are going for. This DIY is so simple and so fun. So once you get everything glued down, these detail scissors from Dollar Tree are absolutely amazing at trimming away these little flyaways. This macrame cord does tend to fray, so this works out really well. I love how this came out, and it was very easy and inexpensive to make. You can make several of these and hang them in an arrangement. I think that would be so pretty, but definitely a fun craft to make. I made this at Christmas time, but it is a perfect craft to make and use for all year. A little standing tray and very customizable as well. You can find multiple different colors of ribbon, and I am just using this takeout plastic food container that I washed and a circle of cardboard that I had cut. You can use any size that you like. I'm just going to cover this plastic container with some rope. This is thinner rope that I purchased on Temu, but Dollar Tree carries a thicker rope that would work perfectly as well. You just glue it down and then begin wrapping. I wrap it all the way to the top. I don't wrap the top, that way I can glue that plastic directly to the top of my little tray here. But this works out really well and is super easy to do. As you can see, I ran at a rope a little bit from the top, but you're not going to be able to tell. Now to the top of my tray, I'm going to cover that in rope as well. This rope is from Dollar Tree. I just start by creating a little swirl in my fingers, and then I wrap all the way around until this whole thing is covered. If you have to add on another piece of rope like me, just try and pinch them together and add some hot glue so it is as seamless as possible. Once you have your top done, you can simply glue the bottom onto the top and you'll have a gorgeous tray. I used hot glue on the low setting so I didn't melt my plastic too much, and this actually worked out really well. And that is how you make a super quick, super easy tray that is perfect for all season. And I made it out of trash, you guys, a cardboard box and a takeout container. How cute is that? So this next DIY is inspired by Clutterbug. Here's the beautiful, gorgeous wreath that she made. And here is mine, inspired by her. So not exactly the same, but I got this inspiration from her. She is so funny. I recently found her. I really enjoy her channel. So you'll need 6 ropes from Dollar Tree. Now my rope was the thicker rope. I believe it is 6 foot, but of course if you find a different size of rope, you can just adjust depending on what you think is best. But I gathered my 6 pieces up, I cut them in the middle, and then I took it and tied a piece of twine tightly around one end. So now I have 12 pieces. I'm going to begin braiding my 12 pieces with sections or groups of 4. Now she braided hers on top of her wreath form to help her get the shape. I just kind of braided mine on the table and then just adjusted once I laid it on top of my wreath form. But you can do whatever works best for you. I'm just spreading out each section so that all 4 ropes in that section are nicely visible. Once I come to the end of my rope, I'm going to have some more twine on hand to tie it up. Of course, you could use a zip tie or a pipe cleaner, a rubber band, whatever you have on hand. I am out of zip ties, so this is what I did. And then I just cut off the jagged ropes at the end. And here you have your thick and beautiful braid. Now I laid it down on top of my wreath form, which is the large wreath form that Dollar Tree carries, not the extra large, so one size down from the largest. Now, once I get it laid on my wreath form, I'm just going to arrange each section. I actually did have to untie one end and just kind of fix that, but it really wasn't too much trouble. And then I just kind of made sure my ropes were all tight and in position. I tied either end on with more twine. As you can see, each end is tied to my wreath form. I flipped it over and added a generous amount, a boatload I guess, of hot glue through the back, and then flipped it back over, and I glued each section down to the section before it, as you can see me doing. So my rope is attached to itself and not just the wreath form, but I did use a generous amount of glue. And if you wanted to cover the back of this wreath form with some craft paper or even some cardboard cut to size, that would be a great idea. Next, I'm taking some florals from Dollar Tree. Of course, you could customize this with any florals you like, but I just began with 4 before I realized I was going to need several more. These stems are a little sparse, but I just took 2 of them and swagged them either way like you saw me do, and I tied that to the wreath form and glued it down. Then for my other 2 stems, I took everything off and just began adding it around and onto the first 2 with some hot glue. Then I found in my stash probably about 5 more stems worth, so I'm going to say that I used about 9 stems to create the floral part of my wreath. Now, unfortunately, I did lose a little bit of footage where I had just taken some twine and wrapped it around the middle of the florals after I completed using the 4 stems, so that I would have some surface area to glue my remaining florals to. And as you can see, they're just all taken off of their stem, and I'm just gluing them down where I think they look nice and where I think they should be. So for about $15, you can create this absolutely gorgeous wreath that's beautiful for a wall or a door. I just love it. I think it is so elegant, and I'm so glad that I found Clutterbug's YouTube channel. I can't wait to get more inspiration from her, so definitely check her out. I will have her linked in my description box. But again, you guys, this wreath is so customizable. Add any florals that you like. You could even spray paint your ropes if you want them a different color. Okay, now let me show you how I made this tulip basket. So I am going to take a wire wreath form from Dollar Tree and also a beaded wreath form from Dollar Tree. Here is what they look like. This wire wreath form is, I believe, the 14-inch. I don't have my glasses on and I can't remember, but I believe it's the 14-inch. And honestly, you can make it work with pretty much any size. You're just going to want to cut it in half with some strong wire snips like so. This one had 6 dividers and I just cut it to where I had 3. I then cut a piece of poster board to be my backing that would fit behind this and glued it down. Here are the florals I am using from Walmart, and I know I said tulip, it's actually a crocus bush. I'm sorry about that, but I'm going to be using these florals, and I did separate out my greenery. So I showed you the fabric type and the grass type. I'm only going to be using the grass type, but first I glued down these florals. I tried to space them out nicely and just fill in any gaps. Then I'm gluing down the second type of taller floral, just kind of adding that in between, and then I'll do a nice thick layer of the grass here in the front, lowering that down a little bit so that it doesn't cover my flowers. Once I get the rope on this basket, I will be adding in a few more flowers. So what you see right here is all one bush, and then I'm going to be adding part of the second one later. So I used about 1.5 total, but here's what this looks like. Here's the rope from Dollar Tree. I used 3 bunches. I would recommend buying 6. I wrapped my rope around twice before realizing that I only had enough to go across the front of my basket. I recommend getting 6 because I recommend going around the whole basket. I just think that it looks neater and cleaner and it's just easier. But of course, I realized I didn't have enough after I did 2 wraps. So then I began cutting strips of the rope just using my wire snips and placing them down on top of my basket. Once I get several strips of rope together, I will then begin gluing them down. I will glue them down by placing hot glue on one end where the wreath form is and on the other end as well. I am going to be putting a strip of hot glue between the pieces of rope to attach one to each other, and that way there are no ugly gaps in which you can see my poster board background. So here's what I'm doing all the way down this basket until I get to the very end, and of course my pieces of rope will get smaller and smaller. The reason I recommend just going all the way around with your rope is pretty hard to kind of bend and glue down and it starts to fray. So I had a bit of a time, but it is doable. I just flip this around and hot glue my sides down as much as possible. And then I did take another piece of poster board that I cut to size and I hot glued that on top. But I would definitely recommend getting about 6 bunches or a larger spool of rope from Hobby Lobby even. Now I'm going to take this beaded wreath form from Dollar Tree and cut it open. I do remove a couple of beads so it's easier to work with, and then I'm just going to glue down that last bead so it doesn't move around too much. Once you have this prepared, you're going to attach it to the back of your basket with some hot glue, and I use painter's tape on top of my hot glue just for extra security. I would recommend duct tape as hot glue and duct tape kind of bind together and give a really good hold. Of course, I didn't have any duct tape, so I improvised. I also wanted to brush my beads with some antique wax, but I didn't have any of that either. So this whole video was pretty much improvising. So there's an idea if you like antique wax to brush it over. Now here's the second bush of flowers. I just took some of the florals off and tucked them in the front of that grass using a little bit of hot glue. This was so easy to do. I think it is so pretty, and please remember you can use any florals that you like as a substitution if you don't like these. Purple is actually my favorite color, so this is right up my alley. I'm taking a strip of ribbon from Sam's Club and wrapping it around the front, then just creating a simple classic bow here and cutting off the excess, and I'm going to add in a strip for tails as well, and then I am going to tie this all together and glue it down. Of course, I'll be dovetailing my tails, which is cutting a triangle upward for a boutique finish, but I just think that this is so pretty and I hope that you like this idea as well. Please let me know if you consider recreating something like this. This one is another easy rope tray that I styled a couple of different ways. It all starts with this sign from Dollar Tree and some rope that I form a swirl in my fingers and glued together. And then I glued it to the middle of this Dollar Tree sign and began wrapping around and around. I do add some glue as I go just to make sure everything stays down nicely. And I try to attach the next rope as close as I can to the last one to make this seamless. Now I'm going to be taking these little toy racetrack pieces from Dollar Tree, 2 of them, and I'm going to be adding them to the edge of this sign. There's a little lip on the racetrack, and you can just fold that around the edge of the sign using some hot glue and just hold it for a minute until everything sets. Again, I did use 2 of these. So here is what that should look like. And you can add a little bit of an extra stronger adhesive if you like a super glue or a hot glue. This did work really well for me. Now for your second racetrack piece, you will need to trim it down a little bit, but just following the same steps with the hot glue and adding pressure until the hot glue sets, and this is what you will have. Next, of course, you're going to want to grab up some more rope. So I'm going to put my handles down right now so that I have them in there and I can just neatly place the rope over them, holding them in place. So I just cut 2 equal lengths for handles and glue them down. And then I continue filling the inside of my tray up with this rope, just winding around and also up the inside of these little truck tracks, oh my gosh, race car tracks, all the way to the top, right over top of those handles. So here is what that should look like, just going all the way to the top and making sure everything's filled in. And then of course I'm going to go around the outside as well. And this is what you have, a gorgeous tray that is super easy to make. I think it is so beautiful. It can be styled so many different ways, and you could use a different color rope if you wanted to, or you could use a little bit of white rope on the inside and the darker rope on the outside. The sky is the limit. So for this next idea, I'm going to show you this gorgeous beehive wreath that I made using mostly Dollar Tree items. I had this wreath form, this window, and this twine from the Dollar Tree, and I decided to go ahead and put everything together. So what I'm going to do is cover my entire wreath form in twine. I did not show myself doing this because there's really no right or wrong way to do it. Just get the whole thing covered in twine, careful of your fingers with the hot glue, which I use to just tack the ends down, and then your wreath form is covered. What I did not show was the rope I'm going to be using to cover this window frame. I actually end up using about 3.5 since that's what I had on hand, but you probably want to have 4 rope bundles on hand. So I removed the little plaque that comes on the front of this window frame, and then I tacked down the end of my rope and I just began wrapping it all around this window frame. Once you get to the top, you just continue to wrap and just kind of follow the curve around. Ideally, you would need one more strip of rope to cover that little part of the beehive on the top, but I just made this work as that is all I had. Now you can notice that I do have 2 different thicknesses of rope, but again, that's all I had on hand and I made it work. I took the little plaque that was originally on the front of the beehive and I painted it with Pavement by Apple Barrel because I could not find my ink chalk paint. Then I just took some of these cute little bees that I purchased at Hobby Lobby, but I've seen that Dollar Tree does have some cute little bees in their spring section. Now I'm just going to glue my beehive onto my twine covered wheel by flipping it over and then just putting glue underneath each of the spokes. And when I get that done, I do reinforce with glue as well. If you feel the need to put a little thin piece of cardboard back there or something, you could, but this worked just fine for me. I outlined my little entrance hole to the beehive with some of the twine that I used on the wheel just to tie everything together. Once that is done, I trim off any excess and I move to my bow. I found this beautiful bee ribbon at Sam's Club last year for a huge spool. I think I paid about $5. So I'm just forming my classic little X bow with 2 loops on either side. Then I take an extra length of ribbon to be my tails. I bunch it all together and tie it tightly with a piece of twine. I like to wrap it around and tie it in the back just to make sure that I get my bow as tight as possible, because the tighter you get your bow, the better you can fluff it out. I then dovetail the ends of my bow by folding the tails in half and cutting a triangle upward. I am now going to tie that bow right on to the top of this wheel with another piece of twine, just tying it as tightly as possible, and then I can go ahead and refluff it after I trim off that excess of twine there. Do go ahead and end up adding some greenery on either side of my bow because I thought this looked a little bit bare. But before I do that, I wanted to fluff out my ribbon a little bit more. So I just make a tiny little bow with 1 loop on either side, and I'm going to glue that right in the middle of my larger bow. I really think that this just elevates the bow and makes it look so much more fluffy. And once that is done, I will then add the greenery I just mentioned on either side of this bow, but you could also add some little yellow flowers if you wanted to. That would be super cute. I'm just going ahead and using these little eucalyptus pieces I had in my stash, and here is what it looks like. I think it is absolutely adorable. It is perfect for a vignette. It is perfect for a front door or a wall, really anything that you like. I just think it is so cute, and I loved the way that the window piece came out and looks just like a beehive. Speaking of beehives, let me show you this next DIY using mostly mostly Dollar Tree supplies, although I did use rope from Hobby Lobby. I grabbed a Dollar Tree picnic basket that you use for barbecues, and I cut off about 1/4 of it at the bottom, but you could cut off as much or as little, just depending on how high you want your beehive to stand. This is what it should look like. I did sand off the bottom so there's no sharp edges that are going to cut or poke me. And then I'm going to wrap this entire thing in rope. So I did a little swirl in my fingers, carefully gluing, and then I placed that on the top of this basket. Now what I'm going to do once I glue this down is then just begin cutting strips and wrapping the strips around so I don't have to go all the way around this basket, just the front part, because I don't want to waste a bunch of rope. However, when I get toward the bottom of the basket or the beehive, I'm going to do about, I think, 4 strands all the way around, and that way I'll have surface area to glue this down onto my sign, because if not, I wanted to make sure that it would glue down properly. So as you can see, I just cut strips and went around most of this to preserve rope, but here I am going all the way around several times so I have surface area in the back to glue to. Hopefully that makes sense. So I did go around, it looks like 4 or 5 times. I don't have my glasses on, sorry guys. And then I just continued to cut off a couple of strips to finish off the bottom. And I did trim off those jagged edges and make sure everything was sanded down. If you trim everything off nicely, your beehive will actually stand. So hopefully all of that makes sense, but this just came out so cute. Here's what this should look like. And here is where I just trimmed off the little edges, like I said, and made sure everything was smooth. Now you're going to want to paint a little entry hole on your beehive. I used Waverly ink chalk paint to do that. I just drew a rough circle and then filled it in with a couple of layers of this chalk paint. Once that is done, I went around my entry hole for this hive with a piece of extra rope just to kind of clean it up and make it look even cuter. Next, I grabbed these little bees that I found at Hobby Lobby, and I'm going to glue a couple to the front of my hive in a way that I think looks cute. I'm going to take this Dollar Tree Christmas tag sign, and I'm going to paint the back of it with Waverly Plaster chalk paint, and then I am going to grab the scrapbooking kit from Hobby Lobby. Very inexpensive if you catch it on sale, just a few dollars, and you get all of these adorable items. I did go over my Waverly plaster with Waverly Mage chalk paint, and then I grabbed a piece of scrapbook paper that I liked, and I cut a piece that would fit the bottom of my tag sign. Now I did cut a little hole in the middle because I want my hive to be able to attach directly to my sign and not just to the paper. So I used a glue stick to position my scrapbook paper down on top of this sign, and I'm going to use a sanding block to clean up my edges and make sure this looks nice. Then I'm going to apply a generous amount of hot glue to the rope on the back of this hive that I had left there and glue that directly to this sign. Now I'm going to take one more piece of rope and go around the outer edge of my hive to clean everything up and just make sure that it looks nice. I'm going to form a little bow with this bee ribbon from Sam's Club, 2 loops and some tails. I'm going to scrunch it all together and tie it tightly, and then I can attach this to the top of my little sign. This is one of my favorite bows to do. It is so quick and easy to make. I do dovetail my tails, which is folding them over and cutting a triangle upward for a nice boutique finish. But here is what that looks like. And now just finding the right position and gluing this down. I did add the hanger back to the sign before I added my bow, just in case I want to hang this. It does stand, but now I have a couple different ways I could use it. I used some greenery that I had in my stash and put the greenery on either side of this bow. I used my Cricut to print out the saying, home is where your honey be, but you could use Dollar Tree stickers or transfers or freehand, whatever you like, and you can also add whatever phrase you like. I just thought that this was super cute, and I was really proud how this sign turned out. I hope that you like it as well. Let me know what you think about this one. Okay, let's make another DIY. This one is super fun. I made this last year and still have it hanging up. I just think it is so pretty. Going to use some Bonnie craft cord from Hobby Lobby in 2 different colors and this mermaid tail wreath form from the Dollar Tree. Again, you can get this Bonnie cord at Hobby Lobby, $4.99 for a huge roll, and that's not on sale. So if it was on sale, it would be even cheaper. So I just cut a strand and I began wrapping this wreath form, just gluing it down and wrapping all the way around. Now, if you're using multiple colors like me, you can totally choose the pattern that you want to do, whatever you think looks best. I know Hobby Lobby even has a blue a Bonnie cord that you could use, but Dollar Tree has multicolored twines in their nautical section as well. So I just wrap. I'm going to wrap the whole outline of this wreath form here in this darker color. This wreath form is so fun. You could do all kinds of different things with it. Dollar Tree also has some nautical craft fabric in the nautical section, and that would look really pretty like behind the wreath form. You could glue it down and that would look super nice. You could use some seashells to embellish. So really the sky is the limit, whatever you think, but I just did this and it really didn't take me as long as it looks like it would. I just did the top half in this darker color, and then I'm just going to do the tail in the lighter color. And then to embellish it, again, you could use seashells, you could use anything you like. I just found some cute little picks at Dollar Tree along with this nautical line, and mine had cute little seahorses on them. So pretty. They do have several different varieties of picks to choose from, but I just cut my picks apart and then just placed the pieces down kind of in a swag formation, however I wanted them, until I liked how they looked. But again, customize this however you want. This is just such a cute and easy decoration for a wall or a door. I am going to put it in our downstairs bathroom after we remodel it, but I just think that this is so cute, so easy to do, and again, a perfect craft to do while watching a movie, listening to a podcast, just relaxing. I love crafts that you can just kind of do while multitasking. As a mom of 6, I multitask quite a bit, so perfect craft for me. Here's what it looks like. Again, so pretty, so customizable, very inexpensive on a budget, and yeah, perfect, beautiful coastal decor. So if you like nautical or beachy decor, I just made all of the DIYs that I'm showing you now in my last video here on YouTube. I was really proud of these. I thought they came out so pretty, and I'm going to link this video in my description box so you can check these out. They're all very easy to do and use mostly Dollar Tree supplies. So that is it for me. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope that you enjoy the video. Please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't, and also give me a big thumbs up. Take care, friends. I will see you soon.